Well, there we go. And we're live. Oh,
So
damn it.
politically correct Red Riding Hood. What on
Yeah.
earth do you have in store for us? Oh boy.
Well, it comes from a book called Politically Correct Bedtime Stories Modern Tales for Our Life and Times. I guess the guy who wrote it is James Finn Garner. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. But I guess it's satire. It was supposed to be amusing as hell, but when my husband first read it to me, I didn't take it as such and wanted to instantly destroy it because one, it wasn't politically correct. And two, it was trying so hard to be.
Oh,
Yeah. So each story is like two, maybe 3.5 pages long. So I was planning on reading Little Red Riding Hood and then just destroying it if you boys don't mind.
You know what? You do you, hun. If you want to wreck Little Red Riding Hood, you go ahead. It's not like
Oh,
it
they
doesn't
they
deserve
already
it.
wrecked it. They already wrecked it.
Well, based on what you read to me a couple of days ago when you was telling me about this, they're not exactly politically correct. How dare they suggest that Little Red Riding Hood is female? They called her her. Mike, that's disgusting.
I know, right?
How
they assumed her gender.
exactly? It's appalling. My leftist heart is disgusted by this.
Exactly. There once was a young person named Red Riding Hood who lived with her mother on the edge of a large wood. One day her mother asked her to take a basket of fresh fruit and mineral water to her grandmother's house, not because this was woman's work, mind you, but because the deed was generous and helped engender a feeling of community. Furthermore, her grandmother was not sick, but rather was in full physical and mental health and was fully capable of taking care of herself as a mature adult. So Red Riding Hood set off with her basket through the woods. Many people believed that the forest was a foreboding and dangerous place and to never set foot in it. Red Riding Hood, however, was confident enough in her own budding sexuality that such obvious Freudian imagery did not intimidate her. On the way to grandmother's house, Red Riding Hood was accosted by a wolf who asked her what was in her basket. She replied, "Some healthful snacks for my grandmother, who is certainly capable of taking care of herself as a mature adult." The wolf said, "You know, my dear, it isn't safe for a little girl to walk through these woods alone." Red Riding Hood said, "I find your sexist remark offensive in the extreme, but I will ignore it because of your traditional status as an outcast from society, the stress of which has caused you to develop your own and entirely valid worldview. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must be on my way." Red Riding Hood walked on along the main path, but because his status outside society had freed him from slavish adherence to linear Western style thought, the wolf knew a quicker route to Grandma's house. He burst into the house and ate Grandma, an entirely valid course of action for a carnivore such as himself. Then, unhampered by rigid traditionalist notions of what was masculine or feminine, he put on Grandma's nightclothes and crawled into bed. Red Riding Hood entered the cottage and said, "Grandma, I have brought you some fat-free, sodium-free snacks to salute you in your role of a wise and nurturing matriarch." From the bed, the wolf said softly, "Come closer, child, so that I might see you." Red Riding Hood said, "Oh, I forgot you are as optically challenged as a bat." "Grandma, what big eyes you have." "They have seen much and forgiven much, my dear." "Grandma, what a big nose you have. Only relatively, of course, and certainly attractive in its own way. It has smelled much and forgiven much, my dear." "Grandma,
Oh, there's a
what
joke
big
to make
teeth
there.
you have." The wolf said, "I am happy with who I am and what I am," and leaped out of bed. He grabbed Red Riding Hood in his claws, intent on devouring her. Red Riding Hood screamed, not out of alarm at the wolf's apparent tendency toward cross-dressing, but because of his willful invasion of her personal space. Her
Oh my God.
screams her screams were heard by a passing woodchopper person, or log fuel
Oh,
technician as he preferred to
a
be
wood
called.
chopper?
When he burst into the cottage, he saw melee. He saw melee?
I think
Then
that's meant to be a melee.
I know. Then and tried to intervene. But as he raised his axe, Red Riding Hood and the wolf both stopped. "And just what do you think you're doing?" asked Red Riding Hood. The woodchopper person blinked and tried to answer, but no words came to him. "Bursting in here like a Neanderthal, trusting your weapon to do your thinking for you," she exclaimed. "Sexist! Speciesist! How dare you assume that women and wolves can't solve their own problems without a man's help?"
Patriarchy.
When she heard Red Riding Hood's impassioned speech, Grandma jumped out of the wolf's mouth. "What?" Seized the
Oh
woodchopper
my
person's
God.
axe and cut his head off. After this ordeal, Red Riding Hood, Grandma, and the wolf felt a certain commonality of purpose. They decided to set up an alternative household based on mutual respect and cooperation, and they lived together in the woods happily ever after.
Okay. I don't actually know where to start with that.
There's
But
so many different jokes to be made.
yeah.
I I I don't know what to do, boys. Help me.
Now we
No,
can't
no,
help you,
no.
Shirati. It's
Species.
patriarchy. Can't do
No,
that.
I'm sorry, Shirati. We can't help you. You're a strong, independent, brave, and amazing woman who is capable of doing these things on her own. As mere men, we do not think it is our place to help you out.
Herpicus, don't know what I wandered into, but I'm trying not to burst out laughing at work.
This is glorious. I am thoroughly entertained. I am so amused with this.
Oh my god. This this has to be the best bit of satire I have ever read in my life. And there's still, let's see.
Wait,
Oh,
when they call her grandma, is that like reverse God, kill me now. Reverse ageism? Like,
oh,
She might be as frail as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but she's still a strong, independent woman that can do anything she can put her mind to, including jumping out of the
God
mouth of a
damn it.
wolf.
God damn it, you just made me forget where I was counting. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. There's 13 stories in total in this tiny book. Each is approximately 3 pages, maybe 3.5, like this one.
Please tell me that the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is somewhere involved in this, because I can
Oh,
see that
God.
one getting
Snow
interesting.
White is in here, as is Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes! Oh, this is really good. This is going to be glorious. Oh, God.
And I only plan on doing one per stream.
Oh, yeah.
I'm both excited and apprehensive.
Well, I'm there. Okay, I am more than happy to be involved in this. This is going to be funny.
I'm quite literally confused. Like, I don't know if I should be horribly amused by this or rather disturbed that it's accurate.
Oh, oh my God. The grandmother was offended because the wolf and Red Riding Hood were offended. So she jumped out of the wolf's mouth after the wolf ate her? I, I'm
There's
I'm
some
so
sexual jokes to be
confused.
made there that would probably get your channel banned by YouTube.
I have like 25 viewers or subscribers.
You're up to
It's YouTube.
32. You're
I'm
up to
I'm up to
32, huh?
Oh my God. Wow.
I'm still kind of
That's
wondering about the line about the nose. I want to know what it smelled.
Yeah. More
You
than a
know, nowadays is probably smelled a whole lot of never mind, my daughter's right next to me.
See,
Oh dear.
there's a good
Well,
way to answer this question.
I do have a pussycat, if you get my joke.
Oh, we understand.
Now, see, here's the real question. Has the hair dry set in yet, or is it in the nostrils? Do we know?
Oh God. Oh.
Now imagine
Damn
what
you,
it's going
Joker.
to be like if they actually release this book to schools and insist that this is a sort of nursery rhymes that you teach your kids.
Oh, thank you,
Wow.
Tiger Lily, for subscribing.
All I'm gonna say is that this politically correct Little Red Riding Hood story is a great would be a great pitch for Dollar Shave Club.
Oh my
And then
God.
they set up their own little commune at the end. That was perfect.
Now imagine this book being Oprah's book of the week. Exactly. I mean, there's
Oh
nothing
my
else that
God.
needs to be said, is there? Can you
Because it,
imagine her reading that out on air? Wow.
I
oh,
I would pay money to see that.
Agreed.
that
So
would
would I. I don't like Oprah, but I would watch that episode.
Oh, well, you'd get a better show than if you're in Tennessee currently. Not gonna go down that little proverbial rabbit hole, but it's good to poke fun every now and then.
Copyright 1994. So this has been out since the early 90s.
I need to find this book. I'm gonna read it every night before I go to bed.
Good. So I won't have to read every story. I can have you read one.
I've just
I
got
don't
to
know if you want to do
disappear for
that.
a few minutes. Okay,
Don't tempt me.
guys, just got to disappear for a few minutes. I'll be back as quick as I can.
All right, Quinn.
Go for it, dude.
See you, mate. Bye bye.
Bye. Oh, it's brilliant. I oh,
I'm terribly amused. I
I don't know what to do, and it's both absolutely terrible and terrific at the same time because it's not politically correct for one.
it is kind of the definition of a guilty pleasure. I
It I could not Herbicus, I'd kill for some popcorn right about now.
popcorn and a glass of bourbon, knowing you, Herb.
Oh god.
Just the few lines about baskets and fruits and things. There's jokes for days there.
Salt-free and fat-free fruits for you.
But was it vegan? That's the real question. Well, no, it clearly couldn't have been vegan because never mind. I'm not going to make that joke.
I have headphones on, and my daughter is not allowed to watch my channel after MC anymore. Hi, honey.
Oh, I need to find a copy of this. I'm I am so amused.
Yes, I don't know if you know this, Oz, obviously, my husband. It's a good thing your husband found that book for you.
This is delightful. I am ah I I'm laughing, but I'm cringing at the same time.
Yes, it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible.
Hey, honey, I brought some fruits for you. They're in a box. Just don't smell them.
Oh, dear God, no, Doku.
I told you there's so many jokes that you could make here.
God. No. Just, just no.
I don't think that's how venereal disease works.
Oh,
I'm going to hell.
we all are, honey. We all are. I still think my favorite line, uh, after the wolf says, "You know, my dear, it isn't safe for a little girl to be walking through these woods alone." When she replies, "I find your sexist remark offensive in the extreme, but I will ignore it because of your traditional status as an outcast from society, the stress of which has caused you to develop your own entirely valid worldview. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must be on my way."
Wait, so who was the mayor of London again? Somebody hit up Temple. He might need to cover this live coverage. Oh,
Jesus
fuck.
Christ.
There's too many jokes to make about this. It's fucking great. Oh, I'm thoroughly amused.
Yes. And yes, honey, it is a good thing that you found the book and immediately recognized it as satire. And I thought it wasn't satire, so bad on me, but still, it's fun to stream about.
Can somebody overnight a copy of this book to Angela Merkel? I'm pretty sure she would use it as doctrine. Is the wolf sponsored by an NGO of some sorts?
Oh my god. This isn't supposed to be, well, extremely political other than the political correctness or not so much of this book.
Hey, it kind of comes with the territory, though. Or should I say, does it come in the basket?
Oh, dear Lord.
And yes, there's two jokes there.
Yeah.
If a vegan does CrossFit, which do they preach about first? Oh, that's a good question. Herpicus, you're making my brain hurt now. You're making me think, damn it.
Mm, it depends on what kind of vegan they are.
Well, I think it actually really depends on what kind of yoga pants they use. Are we talking about yoga pants that are made out of hemp, or are they oil byproducts, or do they involve animal products in any way? There's some nuance here that we need to unpack.
Hence the what kind of vegan are they?
Well, they're all preachy, so I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
I've met some vegans that aren't so preachy.
Well, for that, I'm envious.
I need this. It means you're not going to take anything from me. Hey, you spelled still wrong.
Really?
Yes, it's Still and not Sill.
Oh.
So go wake her up. We can't have dead air.
Pressing
Sorry,
X to doubt. Herpicus is pressing X.
No, actually, I went to school with someone who is a vegan.
Did they eat fish at least?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, they're missing out. And yes, I chose fish specifically, not because of the vegan diet, but for another reason. Can't be vegan if you eat meat. Herpicus, there's no such thing as a non-preachy vegan.
Better?
Well, there are such a thing as people who claim to be vegan but really don't adhere to it, aside from just, the social points.
The cool fairy gift that I gave you?
There you go, Herpicus. That's for your last statement.
Oh, the X to doubt. Herpicus, why are you so doubtful? They're just trying to be inclusive and steal the food from all the animals that are constantly polluting our atmosphere with their cow farts and things.
And they still think that we're the ones destroying the world while they're destroying the earth.
I mean, you can only have so many deer and cows running around, but who am I to judge? I guess in this point, we should actually be supporting the wolf. The wolf is doing God's work.
And then letting the grandmother out?
I don't know what to say about that one. Sounds like reverse birth control. Not sure how I feel about it.
How the fuck are you almost a vegan?
I don't know. You got me there. I'm confused.
No, Oz. Oz says, I'm almost a vegan. I know what he eats. He eats meat. Oh, yeah, and occasionally some potatoes, corn, and peas. Oh, yeah, and by the way, did I say meat?
Does this meat involve bacon? Because if so, I'm pretty much
Yeah.
on the same diet.
Yeah.
I mean, I like dinner rolls and a good baked potato from time to time.
He'll eat cinnamon rolls.
Not a fan of cinnamon rolls, actually. I don't like sweets.
God damn.
There's another joke there, but I'm not gonna make it because I hear children in the background.
Oh, I have headphones on, honey. You can't get nothing. Ugh.
I'm not okay with this. Not okay with this, Sharada. You're putting me in an uncomfortable situation.
Honey, I have headphones on. They can't hear anything. Now.
Do the headphones look like cinnamon rolls?
No.
Yeah, fine. Just ship me the mannequin. And yes, Herb, bacon is the food of the gods.
Beg to differ.
Heathen.
Bacon isn't the food of the gods.
Well, it depends on which god you worship.
There's no such thing.
Oh, we're not getting into this, Sharadi.
However, bacon is damn good.
Damn right it is. And yes, Oz, it did get a reaction. You were successful in that endeavor. Oh goodness. What? Okay, so what fairy tales are actually in this book?
All
How many did they
right.
go over?
All in all, let's go to the table of contents here. Make sure I got them all. All right. The Little Red Riding Hood, which I just read at the beginning of the show. Press 1, everybody, if you missed it. 2, if you heard it. Oh. All right. The Emperor's New Clothes. That should be
Oh.
real nice. The Three Little Pigs. Rumpelstiltskin. The Three Codependent Goat's Gruff.
Oh my God. Hold on. Just pause. No, go over. Do that one. I know you said you wanted to do one per stream, but no, I need to hear this.
Oh, I said 1 per stream.
Come on, Sharadi. Humor me, please. You
Let,
can't read a title like that and not fucking
let
read it.
let me finish reading off the names first. Okay?
Fine, I'll calm my tits.
Yeah. Rapunzel, Cinderella, Goldilocks, Snow White, Chicken Little, The Frog Prince, Jack and the Beanstalk, and the Pied Piper, or Pied Piper, Pied Piper of Hamelin.
Oh, this. I need this book. I need this in my life.
Oh, Herpy. Yes, I called you Herpy. Does this mean all those human sacrifices were pointless? Yes, honey.
I don't know. Ask the Aztecs about that one. They might disagree.
Yeah, well, they were a bit on the crazy side.
Yeah, all cultures are equal. Didn't you know?
Yeah, and context doesn't matter anymore. Why do you think I'm reading this?
Okay, please. I'm tired of waiting. Read the Billy Goat's Gruff one. I cannot wait for this.
The Three Codependent Goat's Gruff.
Oh, this should be wonderful.
Who else wants me to read this?
Press 1 if you want the codependent Goat's Gruff.
Well, it says that there's 5 watching. If I don't get...
Oh, come on. If we get at least 2 out of the 3. See, Herb's on my side.
Herb's always on your side.
Oh, there we go. Oz. That's 2. Come on, Sharadi. You can't give us the proverbial vice grip around the balls. You can't read a title like The Three Codependent Billy Goat's Gruff and not give us something good. Come on.
There is no Billy Goat about it. It is the Three Codependent Goat's Gruff.
Yeah, it's close enough.
God, you're such a guy. You whine and bitch until you get what you want.
It's because I support the patriarchy.
There's no such thing as a patriarchy. I've told you that 100 times.
I don't know. CNN's been telling me otherwise.
Please tell me you do not actually watch that.
No, I only hear about it through people like Tim Pool. Well, Tim Pool and Mark Dice. He watches it, so I don't have to.
I would love to get my fingers into fucking Tim Pool's beanie so I could shake him and go, there's no such thing. If anything, there's a goddamn matriarchy, you stupid fucker. I do
Oh,
the
but
same thing
you
to
got to
memes.
admit, he's like a starry-eyed child.
Yes, so is memes.
He's delightfully naive, but you gotta
Yes,
love him.
and
At least he's honest.
I do love memes. I think he's a beautiful, beautiful child, but I think he is one of the people that actually needs to be in here to listen to this and give his beautiful starry-eyed opinion.
Kind of disappointed Memes isn't actually watching right now.
He could be working though. Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
Doku actually talked me into reading another, Mr.
Oh,
Quinn.
awesome. What one are we doing now?
The Three Codependent Goat's Gruff.
Oh, dear. Oh. Okay.
Once on a lovely mountainside lived three goats who were related as siblings. Their name was Gruff, and they were a very close family. During the
I've
winter
seen this
months,
anime.
they lived in a lush green valley, eating grass and doing other things in a naturally goatish manner.
I've
When
definitely
summer,
seen this anime.
when summer came, they to this footprint as small as possible. To get to this pasture, the goats had to cross a bridge over a wide chasm. When the first day of summer came, one goat set out to cross the bridge. This goat was the least chronologically accomplished of the siblings and thus had achieved the least superiority in size. When he reached the bridge, he lashed on his safety helmet and grasped the handrail. But as he began to cross, a menacing owl came from beneath the bridge. Over the railing and onto the bridge leaped a troll. Hairy, dirty, or dirt accomplished and odor enhanced.
I've seen this on Pornhub
Yarg!
too.
Yarg! Intoned the troll. I am the keeper of this bridge, and while goats may have the right to cross it, I'll eat any that try. But why, Mr. Troll? Bleated the goat. Because I'm a troll and proud of it. I have
That's
troll's
a
needs.
that's
And
a fucking lie. That's called venereal disease.
And apart from that, again, it misgendered the troll. Not at any point did the troll declare its gender. I'm disgusted.
I have a troll's needs, and those needs include eating goats, so you better respect them or else. The goat was frightened. Certainly, sir, he stammered. If eating me would help you become a more complete troll, nothing would please me more. But I really can't commit to that course of action without first consulting my siblings. Will you excuse me? And the goat ran back to the valley. Next, the middle sibling goat came up to the bridge. The goat was more chronologically advanced than the first and so enjoyed an advantage in size, although this did not make him better or a more deserving goat. He was
Oh,
about to cross.
Shirai, real quick.
Yeah.
Oz. Oz said, "It's ma'am."
Oh God. He was about to cross the bridge when the troll stopped him. Nature has made me a troll, he said, and I embrace my trollhood. Would you deny me my right to live the life of a troll as fully and effectively as I can? Me?
Ask Jack
Never.
Dorsey.
Hi, Jacob. Oh, God. Me? Never, exclaimed the goat proudly. Then stand still right there while I come over and eat you up, and don't try to run away. I would
That is
take
not
that
what
as
she said.
I would take that as a personal affront. He began to invade the goat's personal space. However, blurted the goat, I have a very close family, and it would be selfish of me to allow myself to be eaten without asking their opinion.
Blurted. That's called a queef.
I have respect for their feelings too. I would hate to think that my absence would cause them any emotional stress if I hadn't asked first.
Oh, I'm calling bullshit right now. Twitter and Facebook are fucking living proof of that.
Yes.
Go then, screamed the troll. I'll rush right back here as soon as we reach a consensus, the goat said, for it's not fair to keep you in suspense.
AKA as soon as I get a new IP address.
You're too kind, sighed the troll, and the goat ran back to the valley. As his hunger grew, the troll began to feel a real grievance toward the goats. If he didn't get to eat at least one of them, he was determined to go to the authorities. Oh my god. Hmm. When the third goat came to the bridge, the troll discovered that he was nearly twice the troll's size, with large, sharp horns and hard, heavy hooves. The troll felt his physical intimidation prerogative fading fast. As fear turned his insides into jelly, the troll sank to his knees and pleaded, "Oh, please, please forgive me. I was using you and your goat siblings for my own selfish ends. I don't know what drove me to it, but I've seen the error of my ways." The goat, too, got down on it what passed for knees in goats and said, now, you can't take all the blame for yourself. Our presence and supreme edibility put you in this situation. My siblings and I feel terrible. Please, you must forgive us. The troll began to sob. No, no, it's all my fault. I threatened and bullied you all just for the sake of my own survival. How selfish was I? But the goat would have none of this. We were the selfish ones. We only wanted to save our own skins, and we totally neglected your needs. Please eat me now.
It's
No.
sweet in the fairy tale.
No, the troll said. You must butt me off the bridge for my insensitivity and selfishness.
You must what? Hold up, this just took a real kinky turn.
I'll do no such thing, said the goat. Since we all tempted you in the first place, here, have a chomp. Go ahead. I'm telling you, the troll insisted, standing up. I'm the guilty one here. Now knock me off this bridge and be quick about it. Look.
Knock me off.
Look, said the goat, rearing to his full height. No one is going to take away my blame for this, not even you. So eat me before I pop you in the nose. Don't play the guiltier than thou with me, Hornhead. Hornhead, you smelly hairball. I'll show you guilt. And with that they wrestled and bit and punched and kicked as each sought to don the mantle of blame. The other two goats bounded up to the bridge and sized up the fight, feeling guilty at not accepting enough of the blame. They joined the others in a whirling ball of hair, hooves, horns, and teeth. But the little bridge was not built to carry such weight. It shook and swayed and finally buckled, hurling the troll and the three codependent goats gruff into the chasm. On their way down, they each felt relieved that they would finally get what they deserved. Plus, as a bonus, a little extra guilt for the fate of the others.
Okay, somebody really needs to fucking pull up their email right now and write Pornhub a letter.
Oh, God.
Oh dear. I don't necessarily have words to describe this that aren't going to probably get me arrested. So yeah. Wow.
9 and 13, you'll find.
I want the blame. I want the blame. You can't have the blame. I did it. No, I did it. No, me and my brothers did it. But I was going to eat them.
That's what Zim said? Oh, that was... I don't know what to say about that one. There's just a lot of really dirty jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Almost anything we say to that is probably going to get a SWAT team sent round after us. Let's be fair, because...
Well, maybe to you, you're British.
Well, no, excuse me. I'm accepting the blame here. Don't you try and take away the blame I'm feeling. How dare you?
Oh.
That's bad.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, the world is going to hell.
Yes, but actually, let's be fair. The world is currently at the gates of hell. It's not even going. It's already bloody there. With stories like this, just wow.
Did you just assume my spirituality?
Yes.
Yes, I did. And I accept the blame fully.
Oh, God damn it.
You can't have any blame for blaming me for accepting the blame. So don't blame anybody except me. I accept it.
I'm blaming you for accepting the blame.
I accept that blame.
I accept you accepting the blame that I am blaming you for.
This...
Okay, we need to stop. We need to stop. We need to stop this now.
It's either that or find a troll and 3 goats and have a good afternoon.
God. Tiger, would you like to join us on this never-ending loop?
She probably would, but she can't cope with all of the guilt that we're all feeling for this. Sorry,
I don't know. I'm kind of upset because I feel like Shirati just assumed my geometry. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Honey,
Maybe
we're not talking about math.
Maybe I'm a triangle. I could be a square. Maybe I'm a cube. You don't know.
You geometrist, you. How dare you?
Yeah, honey.
Are you a spherical supremacist?
Yes.
Oh, heathen.
Yeah, well, shit happens.
Purge the heretics. I had to.
Dave's
Right.
fault.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just like that, Shirati, I hope you never plan on monetizing your channel.
Like I said, shit happens.
Exactly. It's
Oh
simple.
no, Herpicus is the reason. I'm passing the blame onto Herp.
No, I demand the blame. I have a right to. Sorry, I can't help it. The blame thing's got to me now.
It's not your blame to accept. Or do you feel entitled, sir? Are you entitled to the blame?
Are you refusing my right to the blame? And how dare you call me sir?
It's ma'am.
Exactly. Ma'am.
That's species appropriation. I apologize. I'll take the blame for that.
God Damn it! Oh my god, these stories are ridiculous. The
It's
scary
fucking
thing
great.
is you do know that one day they may actually be the stories they tell children. Oh my god. That's horrifying. I am genuinely
that's
horrified.
what I was saying while you were AFK. Is this is both amusing as shit, but it's terrifying because it's actually accurate in a way.
Yeah. Though, in all fairness, I do have to wonder what was going on with those codependent goats. They seemed awfully friendly together, didn't they?
Like I said, I've seen that anime.
Oh my god. All right, let's see. Herpicus, I can barely type. I'm laughing so hard. Jacob, if none of you have seen Discord, I'm now selling Allah. Well, bravo. I'm glad you found Allah. Does he have supernatural powers, honey? Anyone want to talk about how great Sharia is? No, honey, I don't. Herpicus, I think I'm sold. When do I get my bomb vest?
Real quick, just to answer your question, Sharati.
Yes?
If there's any special powers, if you've seen the anime Konosuba, it's called Explosion.
Oh, is it?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Harpicus says, you keep that blame. I don't need it.
I'm taking that blame. That blame's mine. Purpose gave it to me.
I'm blaming you for taking the blame.
Oz says, white male privilege in action.
I'm sorry. Is Oz suggesting that I'm white and male? How dare it?
Did you just assume my species? Oh wait, no, it'd be ethnicity, wouldn't it? Oh no, that's speciesist. I can't do that.
So what are you, the wolf now?
I might
or the
be.
Goat?
Hey, you have no idea what kind of butt plugs I use.
Oh.
If it involves a dragon dildo, we don't need pictures.
No, he's talking about tails, honey.
Oh dear.
I played that game once. I know what kind of fan base Sonic is.
We are not talking about Sonic.
Hey, I go on DeviantArt from time to time.
I have a Sega. That went way over your head.
Did you just assume my console?
No, I said I have a Sega.
That's true. So you're assuming her assumption. You assumptionist, you.
I take offense at your assumption of my assumption, of her assumption.
I accept the blame for that offense. Ha!
I'm taking that blame.
You can't take my blame, you blame thief, you.
I'm a blame colonist. I'm going to colonize your blame.
That makes you the enemy.
I'm making your blame great again.
Okay, how about we go back to Red Riding Hood, which is what this was originally about. So,
I'm sorry, we're just having too much fun here.
Obviously, you are like kids in a fucking candy store.
Did you just assume my age?
Yes, because that's what you're acting like, fucking children. God, I act like a child every once in a while, but for fuck's sake,
Does that mean I can call you mommy?
My age. Jesus Christ, everyone else does.
I'd like 1 cheese pizza, please, mommy.
Mm-mm.
But I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yeah.
I like the scary pseudo-murderous animatronics. Oh, wait, no, that's a video game. Never mind.
I'm so glad she didn't think that this was going to make any sense.
Make shit posting great again. So Quinn, you having fun?
I'm trying not to choke. This is funny. In all fairness, I was expecting the troll to be described with having this strange blonde blob on his head, I have to say, but they didn't, so at least they weren't hairist.
Wait, so you were expecting one of the Paul brothers?
I think we've killed Shirati.
I'm just trying to eat up dead air. Oh, wait, I can't do that. That would be a consumptionist. How many instant isms can we throw out?
We could just save time and call everyone istist. That just
Oh my god.
Wait a second, I have a question. If cow farts are a thing, does that mean breathing air is not vegan? It's an animal product, technically, right?
You have a point. That could be argued. Scary thought. And to be fair, I think that's actually a thing we should try and put forward, because that way all vegans commit suicide.
I would love to see the mental gymnastics.
Actually, the funny thing is we only really need to do the first part. They'll do most of the hard work for us. That's the best bit.
This is true. We just have to propose the question.
Yes, we are, and you're very quiet. In all fairness, I think one of the greatest jumps of mental gymnastics I tried to create was "Snow is racist. We demand African American snow." Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's what happens when volcanoes erupt.
Though, then actually, as we're talking generalized rubbish until she comes back and stops us, when on 9/11, I actually saw an African American gentleman, yes, I'm still keeping up with his political correctness, come running out of the ash and smoke, screaming, "It was black like snow, man."
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Okay, I will admit, I have never been to New York. I have no experience of what New York is like, but I don't think they have black snow. Do you?
I've been to New York during Christmas time, and I'm pretty sure what he's talking about is ashes. Oh, there's so many bad jokes I can make right now, and I'm not going to. So many bad jokes.
I am so glad I have coffee.
What kind of coffee?
Black coffee.
Oh, that's racist. That's racist right there.
No, it's only racist if you put cream in it. Oh, wait, never mind. Interracial relationships. You have to put cream in it.
Yeah.
I do not. I drink black coffee. Fuck you all in your eyes.
Oh, now we're talking.
Okay, this is getting kinkier and kinkier as we go. Interesting. Right. As she seems to be back, where did we get to with Little Red Riding Hood before I had to bugger off?
We read the whole fucking book.
I know, but have we agreed that it was completely inappropriate the way they engendered certain people in there for no reason without explaining why?
I think you're going to have to ask Grandma.
It was absolutely terrible, and I don't think you were here when I read my favorite part.
Oh, go on.
Oh, jeez. God damn it. Now I gotta find it again. Oh. When the wolf says, "You know, my dear, it isn't safe for a little girl to walk through these woods alone. And Red Riding Hood said, I find your sexist remark offensive in the extreme, but I will ignore it because of your traditional status as an outcast from society, the stress of which has caused you to develop your own entirely valid worldview. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must be on my way.
You don't walk through the woods, you sit on the trees.
Actually,
Jesus
if
Christ.
that's considered acceptable, that means we can be as unpleasant as we like. We just have to define that we are an outcast and have our own particular worldview.
Yeah, it's actually a
So,
valid point.
yeah. So now their own arguments are going to be used against them.
Oh, it's absolutely fucking terrible.
Well, did you really expect any sort of sense coming from any of us? Let's be honest.
No, well, that's part of the reason I wanted Bollocks in here.
Do you? Well, I'm sorry. No. Did you really think that that would help?
No, but it would make it funny as hell.
That's true. I dread to think the sort of things he would have been saying. And I'm allowed to call him he because he has defined himself as a member of the male gender. I just want that stated. That way I don't feel any guilt. I'll stop.
Did you just assume his assumption about his dangly bits?
Oh dear Lord. You do know if Atema's watching this, she is not going to actually admit that she heard the rubbish we have been speaking, because this has been insane and yet absolutely hilarious.
Oh dear.
I regret nothing.
Sounds good. And just so you know, Sharati, I am in for all of these streams. This is funny.
No, this is horribly amusing.
For those of you who were not here for Little Red Riding Hood at the beginning, I'm going to read the very first page just so you understand how incredibly stupid it was. There once was a young person named Red Riding Hood who lived with her mother on the edge of a large wood. One day her mother asked her to take a basket of fresh fruit and mineral water to her grandmother's house, not because this was woman's work, mind you, but because the deed was generous and helped engender a feeling of community. Furthermore, her grandmother was not sick, but rather in full physical and mental health, and fully capable of taking care of herself as a mature adult. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. It's horrifying and entertaining. All measures. Like, to be fair, I'm thinking that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and the Three Bears are going to be the most abused
Oh,
stories.
it doesn't say anything about Seven Dwarves. It just says Snow White.
Oh dear.
See, I did want to ask Sharati to read those, but I figured we'd save that for another stream. But
Oh yes.
the Billy Goat one, that caught my interest.
Yes, Stonely. The wolf ate the grandma. And then promptly after that, when the, what they call him? The log cutter?
Yeah, that'll do.
No, they called him the woodcutter.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what a vasectomy is like.
Mm.
I just wasn't aware that it was performed with an axe.
Her
Real men
screams
do it
were
with a-
heard by a passing wood chopper person, or log fuel technician as he preferred to be called. When he burst into the cottage, he saw a melee and then tried to intervene. But as he raised his axe, Red Riding Hood and the wolf both stopped. And just what do you think you're doing? Asked Red Riding Hood. The woodchopper person blinked and tried to answer, but no words came to him. Bursting in here like a Neanderthal, trusting your weapon to do your thinking for you, she exclaimed. Sexist! Speciesist! How dare you assume that women and wolves can't solve their own problems without a man's help? When she heard Red Riding Hood's impassioned speech, Grandma jumped out of the wolf's mouth, seized the woodchopper person's axe, and chopped his head off. After this ordeal, Red Riding Hood, Grandma, and the wolf felt a certain commonality of purpose. They decided to set up an alternative household based on mutual respect and cooperation, and they lived together in the woods happily ever after.
Wait, so the woodcutter burst into the cottage with his axe raised.
With his chopper in his hand. Let's break this down here. He had his chopper in his hand.
And then afterwards, the young girl, the elderly woman, and
yes, Grandma got ate, and then promptly jumped out of the wolf's mouth.
And then they formed a furry community. I think there was a convention like this some time ago.
Wouldn't shock
After
me.
hearing Red Riding Hood yell at the wolf chopper.
I feel like there's a really strange allegory for childbirth here.
Would you like to come speak, Mr. Stonley? I will send you the link.
Man, I need to find this book. This is fucking delightful.
Actually, Oz asked a very important question. Did they eat the woodcutter? I hope so. I really do. Otherwise, that is wasting nutrition, and that is wrong.
They only ate one part of the person. I don't want to assume his gender.
That's fair. Oh, no, it's okay. The story has already declared him as a male, so you're allowed to actually call him a he.
But he said he's a son of a bitch. There we go. Already done fucked up. They said Zim was a wood chopper person. You got to remember, Quinn. You got to remember, men can bleed too.
If anybody would like to join us, I just threw the hangouts in the chat.
I almost dread to think. To be fair, anybody that does choose to join us, put your sanity at the door and just leave it there. You're not going to need it here.
Yeah, because this is well, you heard the stories. Or at least
sanity will only hold you back.
Yeah. The old stories aren't going to it's probably for the best.
Yeah. In all fairness, can you imagine us trying to rewrite some of the other fairy tales out there? I dread to think what they will end up like. Ye gods.
Oh, Mother Goose, I'm calling it now.
Nice.
Or The Lady That Lived in a Shoe. That could be a good one.
Oh.
I'm not giving any spoilers.
Just as long as it had a minimum of 6-inch heel, I don't think Shirati will complain.
Hey.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I love those shoes. I have a bitch of a time walking in them, but I love those shoes.
Oh, by the way, Shirati, B told me to tell you, and this will probably mean more to you than it does to me, but she has a pair of Jimmy Choos. Does that make sense? I'll guess yes.
Oh, Mr. Stonley, Jack and Jill. I think that one's in... Isn't Jack and Jill in the book?
I hope so.
Let me double check, but I don't remember seeing the name.
Yeah, Jack and Jill went up something, but it wasn't a hill.
Little Red Riding Hood, The Emperor's New Clothes, Three Little Pigs,
yeah.
Rumpelstiltskin, Three Codependent Goats Gruff, Rapunzel, Cinderella, Goldilocks, Snow White, Chicken Little, the Frog Prince, Jack and the Beanstalk, and the Pied Piper of Hamelin.
Oh wow, Jack and Jill's not on there? That's disappointing.
I know. That is actually.
Well, I think we got a new Rule 34 challenge.
Oh dear, oh God. This is getting worse. I love it. Right.
It doesn't say in the book whether they ate the woodcutter, honey.
Oh, man.
Oh, Mr. Stoneleigh with Humpty Dumpty. Okay, we need a Humpty Dumpty and the Golden Goose crossover.
Oh, jeez. Humpty Dumpty wouldn't have broken so easily if he was made out of gold.
That is true.
Well, it depends on how thin the gold was, but still. And how high the wall was.
Well, I was thinking of more of an origin story, but okay.
Yes. Who was Humpty Dumpty's father? Next on Jeremy Kyle, or for you Americans, Jerry Springer.
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, God, there's so many bad jokes could be made.
It is literally, it's where do you start, or more the point, where do you stop?
I don't think it's going to.
Stephen Colbert and John Oliver interview Humpty Dumpty.
Quinn's only got an hour and a half before he's got to go.
Yes. Unfortunately, though, I'm going to make sure I let everyone know of the absolute insanity of this stream.
I actually threw the Hangout link into Dodge's server.
Oh, cool.
Memes! The exact person I wanted in here.
Wait, what?
I wanted you in here.
Oh, awesome. Hey, memes.
Memes, I'm going to read you a story.
Oh, the
so
plot
just
thickens.
shut up and listen. I don't want you to say a word until after you hear the whole story. It's called Little Red Riding Hood. It is the politically correct version of Little Red Riding Hood. I want your opinion after. Okay?
You did tell him not to speak.
And here we go.
There once was a young person named Red Riding Hood who lived with her mother on the edge of a large wood. One day her mother asked her to take a basket of fresh fruit and mineral water to her grandmother's house, not because this was woman's work, mind you, but because the deed was generous and helped engender a feeling of community. Furthermore, her grandmother was not sick, but rather was in full physical and mental health and was fully capable of taking care of herself as a mature adult. So Red Riding Hood set off with her basket through the woods. Many people believed that the forest was a foreboding and dangerous place and to never set foot in it. Red Riding Hood, however, was confident enough in her own budding sexuality that such obvious Freudian imagery did not intimidate her. On the way to Grandma's house, Red Riding Hood was accosted by a wolf, who asked her what was in her basket. She replied, "Some healthful snacks for my grandmother, who is certainly capable of taking care of herself as a mature adult." The wolf said, "You know, my dear, it isn't safe for a little girl to walk through these woods alone." Red Riding Hood said, "I find your sexist remark offensive in the extreme, but I will ignore it because of your traditional status as an outcast from society, the stress of which has caused you to develop your own entirely valid worldview. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must be on my way." Red Riding Hood walked on along the main path, but because of her status outside society had freed him, because of his status, that is, from slavish adherence to linear Western-style thought, the wolf knew a quicker route to Grandma's house. He burst into the house and ate Grandma, an entirely valid course of action for a carnivore such as himself. then unhampered by rigid traditionalist notions, of what masculine or feminine what was masculine or feminine, rather. He put on Grandma's nightclothes and crawled into bed. Red Riding Hood entered the cottage and said, "Grandma, I have brought you some fat-free, sodium-free snacks to salute you in your role of a wise and nurturing matriarch." From the bed, the wolf said softly, "Come closer, child, so that I might see you." Red Riding Hood said, "Oh, I forgot, you are as optically challenged as a bat." "Grandma, what big eyes you have!" "They have seen much and forgiven much, my dear." "Grandma, what a big nose you have!" "Only relatively, of course, and certainly attractive in its own way. It has smelled much and forgiven much, my dear." "Grandma, what big teeth you have!" The wolf said, "I am happy with who I am and what I am," and leaped out of bed. He grabbed Red Riding Hood in his claws, intent on devouring her. Red Riding Hood screamed, not out of alarm at the wolf's apparent tendency toward cross-dressing, but because of his willful invasion of her personal space. Her screams were heard by a passing woodchopper person, or log fuel technician, as he preferred to be called. When he burst into the cottage, he saw Melee, then tried to intervene. But as he raised his axe, Red Riding Hood and the wolf both stopped. "And just what do you think you're doing?" asked Red Riding Hood. The woodchopper person blinked and tried to answer, but no words came to him. "Bursting in here and acting like a Neanderthal, trusting your weapon to do your thinking for you," she exclaimed. "Sexist! Speciesist! How dare you assume that women and wolves can't solve their own problems without a man's help?" When she heard Red Riding Hood's impassioned speech, Grandma jumped out of the wolf's mouth, seized the woodchopper person's axe, and cut his head off. After this ordeal, Red Riding Hood, Grandma, and the wolf felt a certain commonality of purpose. They decided to set up an alternative household based on mutual respect and cooperation, and they lived together in the woods happily ever after.
And thus rainforest was established.
Uh,
All right, memes.
so, I mean, aside from blatantly murdering a woods person, it sounds like they worked out their differences.
Oh, oh God. Memes, I love you. You are. Doko, you want to take this? Or Quinn?
I don't know if I want to take it, but I don't know.
Oh.
Would that be some kind of phobic of me if I didn't want to?
Perhaps. I'm not even sure what's real anymore.
Go on. Doku.
Well, it is a book of politically correct fairy tales, so.
It's also completely satire.
Kind of like New York's idea of 56 gingers, but just saying.
I'm in a very perturbed mood right now.
What?
I'm in a perturbed mood. I'm angsty.
Are you?
I am. All I know is if you have adults calling for violence against kids.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Standing there and smiling. That
No. They
you're
weren't
talking
smiling.
about Nazis.
They were smirking. Very, very different. Smirking is evil. Smiling is good. Not allowed to smirk. Smirking
okay.
bad.
He was.
Did you
smugly
see
smirking.
all of the context?
Oh yeah, saw it from the beginning. Yeah, so you could see who the antagonizers were. It was amazing how the news managed to section it off, so it made them look bad. It was quite impressive editing.
It is just, this is the point. Like I will make excuses for pretty much almost anything in the world, but as soon as you're going to start basically calling for violence and doxing freaking children. Fuck that.
Yeah. I loved how Kathy Griffith goes, I want the names of all these kids. I'm going to destroy them.
Oh, and they got their parents in their place of work as well.
Oh, Kathy Griffin's going to destroy them. What, like she did her own career? Well, that should be successful.
Oh,
The thing
Yeah.
is, though, she has the money to probably hurt every one of them.
Well, we'll see what happens, because if we do actually have something called defamation, and it does exist, I'm not sure what other situation you could apply it to. And if they are going to go end up going after every...
It's worse. It's incitement to violence.
Well, that too. No, I'm trying to be kind in my angered state, or else I may...
Oh, honey, you can speak however the fuck you want right now. When it comes to that topic, I will actually allow it.
I don't want to, because of the sheer fact that when even some of the most reserved, quote-unquote, skeptics, like the academic agent, are literally saying that, yeah, we're at war now, that bothers me, because I actually do fear that this could accelerate into something horrific.
Honestly, I'll just say this. I'm aware of the entire story in the situation. I've watched the entire 2-hour video. I'm impressed that the media actually managed to spin this in such a perverted way and managed to get people so fucking riled up that they're calling for violence, doxing, not only of kids who pretty much didn't do anything. I mean, half of them looked like they were actually enjoying the dude beating the drum. They were bobbing their heads to the fucking beat. They didn't do anything, and you're calling for violence and saying things that I would not repeat because I think it's fucked up.
If they'd have been racist, they would have probably started doing sort of like a rain dance or something, and you know, around in circles or something to ridicule the guy. They didn't do that. They just joined in.
Yeah, that's the thing. It looks like the kids were actually having fun.
Yeah,
and to quote, like, they didn't know what was going on or understand. I mean, shit, if I was at that age in my life, I probably wouldn't understand either. I'd probably do the same fucking thing.
Here's the thing: when you had those other dudes come up and they're using homophobic slurs and stuff, you had a bunch of Catholic school kids saying they're people too.
Well, yeah. and also you had the other group of individuals, which I will not repeat the name of, but you know who I'm talking about, that said they all have that haircut that makes them look like future school shooters and shit like that. Like, oh yeah, that is horribly unacceptable.
Using this kid as an avatar of Donald Trump and the quote-unquote patriarchy and whatever, quote-unquote white oppression, and they are using him as an avatar of just a piñata, a punching bag to go after. And that's fucking wrong. It doesn't matter. You fucking... just standing there.
I understand your frustration.
No, I know. As somebody that literally was right around that kid's age, that basically was pretty much completely slandered and stuff, and never, like, I had the benefit of doing something, and at the time, you know what? My principal compared me to, like, Hitler. I fucking was run through the mud. I understand, because I did much freaking worse shit than that kid did, just standing around. And now, due to social media, I mean, I ended up getting a pass because I didn't have social media, but at the same time, I couldn't defend myself because we didn't have mass social media. So it kind of gets swept under the rug. So I'm just looking at this kid, and I'm like, this kid was standing there. He smiled at a guy that came up to his face. You can criticize whoever for whatever, but just this is fucking wrong.
But these are your liberal peers. These are the people that you're associating with or affiliating with. It's their ideas that you kind of mimic, and this is why we laugh.
I'll just say this:
we can do better.
For whatever repercussions come to the individuals and the media outlets that are promoting this kind of bullshit that I know Memes is definitely against, I'm definitely against, I know pretty much anyone listening to this is against. You brought it on yourself. And to be blunt, I'm not going to have any fucking sympathy for you. And to be honest, you fucking deserve it, because this is fucking abhorrent behavior and nobody should condone it. And the fact that there are people out there who are in positions of power, people like Griffin and the dude that plays Captain America, he's in on it too. And all these media outlets propagating this fucking bullshit false narrative. You deserve whatever you get.
Yeah.
And I can understand, like, if there's rage and stuff like that. Like, if you're pitched something and it ends up being incorrect and you receive additional information on what actually happened, I mean, you got to owe up. You got to say, listen, I reacted this way based upon this. I've received additional information that has done, and you just see a lot of folks that just, oh, I just don't want to talk about it. They just have it in their mind and everything. And if we can't just say that we're looking for the truth, whatever that truth may be, for better or worse, what the hell are we?
Well, and that's the thing. You got to be willing to talk about it. And the fact that just because it doesn't fit into the narrative that you have in your head, if you're unwilling to talk about it, but you're allowed shit like this to continue, you're no better than the proverbial soapbox, the moral high ground that you pretend to have. No, you're sitting in a fucking toilet seat. It's garbage. And the fact that you would allow this to happen to kids and then turn around and say, like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. You're allowing it to happen. Who the hell are you to sit there and try to preach and act like you're mightier than thou and all this shit? Like, no, fuck that. That's bullshit. You know it's bullshit, and that's why you don't want to fucking talk about it. Why? Because you're a fucking coward. End of story. And that's what irritates me also about the media. Not only are you propagating bullshit, you're fucking profiting off of it.
But this is how desperate it's become, right? I mean, they have to now. I mean, then they're running out of targets to hit. Now it's just got to be average people. I mean, just people doing nothing, and then
not only
that, they've got to, yeah, and then they ramp up the aggression too. So they lower the age limit and ramp up the aggression.
I mean, shit, what would you do if you're a 16, 15 and nothing who just goes on a fucking field trip? Next thing you know, you've got fucking celebrities on social media trying to call for your docs and going after your parents. How low can you get? That's completely unfucking acceptable.
Well, it's a liberal limbo, isn't it? It really is. How low can you go? That's what they keep doing. They keep setting the bar, and they outdo themselves at every turn. They are the absolute gutter people. You know?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like listening to other people's opinions, and I'm of the mindset that I will try to understand where somebody else is coming from and hear them out. But I wouldn't pull shit like this. And you got to be a special kind of fucked up to do that.
But Doku, this wasn't even about anyone's opinions, because they didn't even express their opinions apart from wearing a hat. Apparently, the hat had more of an opinion than the teenagers did, right? Because that's the only thing. I don't remember seeing any of the people actually getting interviewed and saying anything derogatory. I mean, the only thing they could find was a guy smirking at somebody who was coming in his face. You know, they were already there. These other people, you know, kind of invade their space, and they didn't react, and they hoped that they would get some kind of reaction out of it, and they didn't get what they wanted. So now smirking MAGA hat, you know, 16-year-olds open season, apparently. So, you know, get your license.
Yeah, but those kids weren't doing anything but singing or chanting whatever their
they were waiting for the bus.
Song.
Yeah, they were doing nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the whole point.
They were initially chanting their school theme song or whatever, and when the Indian dudes went up to them, because that's what it shows, the kids singing their school song, the Indian dudes went up to them. The other kids parted ways, thinking, okay, maybe they're just trying to get through, and one kid stepped in front of them.
Huh.
The kid that was
did
smirking.
He step in front, or was he standing where he was?
No, he just stood still. He just didn't move. That's the difference. Yeah.
So also they thought you watched the. I got 3 quick questions. Okay, number one.
The whole time, his arms were behind his back, or his hands were behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
So Doku, when they started chanting their class things, was that actually in response to those other dudes coming up and hurling insults to them?
No. Watch the whole thing, memes,
No,
and you'll see
it
it.
wasn't.
It's very easy. It's not even a long video. It's 2-3 minutes, really.
No.
The best way I can
The
just-
whole stream is 2 hours. Okay, so
But
a second question is: at any time during that live stream, Doku, were folks chanting "Build the Wall"?
I
No.
don't think so. No, I don't think
Was
so.
a beer
Go
can
watch,
thrown at
go
the
watch
elder?
Sinatra Says.
No.
Go watch Sinatra Says. He shows
the beer can
in
thing is
context.
from the beer can thing is from a previous incident a few years ago where he claimed, there's no video of this and I haven't seen it, but he claimed that there's some kids that were partying, and this is at his house to wherever he resides. He has I guess a place of religious significance where he said there's some kids that were throwing a party and they were dressed up like Indians and they threw a beer can at him, but that was not related to this incident whatsoever.
Oh, and let's not forget that they tried to bring the whole idea that this guy was an ex-veteran too. I mean, like, they had to drag up something, right? That the guy with the drum was an ex-veteran.
He served in Vietnam.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it was relevant to anything that was going on. What the fuck's that got to do with it? What? So an ex-Vietnam veteran can't walk around a 16-year-old. Really?
It's a card to play.
Wow.
That's it.
It's a pathetic card to play.
It is, but that's what it is. It's a card. It's a card to play. We know how the game is. So no, this whole thing. The only slurs and insults that I heard didn't even come from the group of Native Americans.
No, it came from that black guy filming it.
It was the Black Israelites, that group, which are already known to be an inflammatory group, to say the least.
They're defined as a hate group by the southern part of the Law Center for whatever that's worth at this point.
Yeah, and they were calling this group of high schoolers like they look like school shooters and stuff like that. It's
Disgusting.
Yeah, not exactly tactful, to say the least. But yeah, no, the media tried to spin it in a completely outrageous way. I'm trying my best to keep my cool because this shit really does piss me off. But yeah, oh, look at all the evil white kids wearing the fucking MAGA hats and shit like that. While at the same time, you're intentionally trying to instigate them, try to get a rise out of them, getting in their face, yelling insults, all this kind of stuff. What did they do? Half of them look like they were enjoying the drumming. As far as the school chant thing, they were doing what every high school kid. They're doing what a group of high school kids does. They have what high school have you been to that doesn't have a school chant? They were just doing that, waiting for a fucking bus.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on where they were from, they've probably never actually seen an Indian do a genuine chant before. So they probably were enjoying it. I mean, this is all hypothetical assumptions, whatever the fuck you want to call
and
it.
And they're 16-year-olds. They have no experience. They're just going to go along with whatever's going on, and it's all
Who the fuck just joined?
Yeah. Hey, Stone Lee.
Hey, kids.
We got a wizard.
Hey, you know what I see? That old Indian guy and that kid, they're going to become really good friends, and they're going to make a fool out of a lot of people.
That would be funny.
I hope to God you're right.
That would be funny.
That would be amusing. That would be the icing on the cake, honestly, because the only one that's going to have to eat crow in that situation will be news outlets like BuzzFeed, The Guardian, not even liberals, BuzzFeed, The Guardian, CNN, all those groups, the ones that tried to spin this. Yeah, they're going to be the ones that have to fucking put their foot in their mouth.
Like the only offensive thing that was there at that time, potentially offensive, was the hats. Apparently the hats were enough to do it, because the kids didn't do anything. There was nothing they did whatsoever to cause any kind of backlash or uprising. It was the hat. So
no, honestly, if you break down the entire situation, if you look at the kids, you look at the Native Americans that were doing the drumming, there was no animosity there. There was no instigation. They were doing their thing. The only ones that actually were trying to instigate a situation and do anything that was you could consider inflammatory would be the what do they call them? The Black Israelites, or the Black Hebrew?
No. No. Let's call them what they is. Let's call them niggers. The niggers on the other side of the street.
I don't care.
No.
You're free to speak your fucking mind on my channel.
Speak your speech.
The thing that gets me again is just like you have a group of Catholic school kids whom, when you have homophobic slurs being thrown, they're defending it, even if it goes against what their religion says. They are saying these are people too, and they're defending them. And
Yeah,
it's very, and again, those slurs were coming from one particular group that we've already named. Wasn't the Native Americans. Either way, it's extremely frustrating to see shit like this, and the fact that it's not only encouraged, it's pushed, and the amount of fucking vitriol surrounding the situation.
Well,
it's disturbing.
What bothers me is the number of people that are going to be fooled and deceived by this. There's a whole, there's only us. There's only a handful of us that can see what's going on here, and the rest of the people they're so easily fooled.
Are you truly all that surprised?
No, not at all. And that.
Oh, I
not surprised. I was very disappointed.
I think I'm a little surprised that there's this many naive sheeple in the world.
But anyone who wears the MAGA garb gets immediately attacked. I've seen a video just recently. It was a black man in a Hooters bar who got attacked by a black woman who was the waitress at said Hooters bar for wearing the MAGA hat.
Well, I get attacked all the time for any. I mean, I live with my wife has TDS, right? Trump derangement syndrome. and a lot of my friends have it too. I've talked with some. I mean, it's hard to deal with because they she'll throw shit at the TV. She spits on my TV. She hates Trump so bad.
It's because these people are completely unhinged, and that's
it's some sort of I don't know what it is. I call it TDS. It's Trump derangement syndrome. It is like
I can tell you exactly what it is. It's a very specific style of
autism.
Yes, but political strategy, and it stems from the fact that it's an appeal to emotion. It's quite literally an appeal to emotion. So when you get people emotional and something doesn't go their way or something goes south, you can see it from Waters, you can see it from Pelosi, you can see it from Schumer, you can see it from any of the individuals that actually do have sway within this particular realm. And memes, I do not include you in this realm because you're at least logical and reasonable, you're willing to talk. It's the people that aren't even willing to think for themselves, but the ones that just immediately believe in this form of tribalism. They're so emotionally charged that if something doesn't go according to quote-unquote plan, they have no other reaction but to lash out. And that's when you end up with instances like this, because they're not rational. They're not logical. They're emotionally charged.
Hammered Spud in the chat says, TDS, more contagious than Ebola, more retarded than a lobotomy.
It's actually TAD, Trump anxiety disorder. It's actually clinically defined now.
Yeah, it is, which is hilarious. It literally is a thing.
I'm telling you the truth. My wife has it. She will literally throw shit at the TV.
And this is the example I use, and I'm going to use it again because it's my go-to example. There are two ways of going about things. If you have a child, you take them to the toy store and say, hey, we're going to buy a $20 Lego set. And they want the $40 Lego set. And you tell them no. They throw a temper tantrum. You have two options. You either buy them the $40 Lego set to shut them up, therefore reinforcing, oh, if I throw a temper tantrum, I act out emotionally, I get what I want. You reinforce that type of behavior, or you tell them, screw it, you're not getting anything, you go home.
Well, we're running into fanatical hypocrites on so many sides here, and everybody, yeah. I mean, what do you do?
That's why these people act in the way they do. It's because they don't want to take accountability. They don't have a sense of responsibility for the most part.
I'll agree with you there. There's something that has to be done. We have to take accountability and responsibility for who we are, what we did, where we are. I mean, we've got so many people that want to pass the buck now. They don't want to stand up and say, "Oh, this is kind of my fault."
Well, and the bigger problem is, sorry, real quick. I'm not going to take too long. The bigger problem is it's not only that. It's the behavior that these people engage in is not reprimanded. It's rewarded, which just encourages more of it. And now here we are, where people think doxing kids is okay.
Look at your parents. Look at your parents. Where, like, see, my parents. I don't. They're in some sort of fantasy land of some kind. I don't understand why they don't understand this.
Well, people know what they know often well, but when they're confronted with something they're not familiar with,
how did they let us get here? They should have done something a long time ago.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
My parents would have beat my ass if I would have acted like these stupid motherfuckers that are out in the world thinking, oh, I'm better than you because I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm...
No, but these are violations of liberal principles, because a lot of folks on the quote-unquote left, they always say we need to confront our biases. And if you just have a lot of folks that aren't even confronting their own biases, that's just a violation of a principle.
Well, and that's because you're thinking from the term of a classical liberal. These people aren't classical liberals. They're authoritarian. And they're entitled. Yeah, that's really what it boils down to.
In the pursuit of hunting monsters, we become monsters ourselves.
But
yeah, you're not wrong.
But what do you expect the result was going to be, Means? I mean, all of this stuff has been about, the identitarian idea is about breaking people down, splitting them up, pulling them apart. It's got nothing to do with constructing anything. The liberal deconstructionism.
I'm starting to fear some of the things he was saying was right.
They have been, and everyone's been pointing out.
But Cabbage, how do we stop them, Cabbage? I mean, they're inside. They're inside. They're already.
Well, you need to do things like
everything. They're inside. I mean, we're the only ones that got out of the box, and that's, I think, the only thing. As long as you're still in there, you're fucked.
Well, Stone, the thing is, you can't. I mean, there's a certain generation which is going to be lost to this bullshit, and unfortunately, they are going to get into positions of power, and they are a potential risk. But the only way to stop it now, I mean, it's a rearguard action. It needs to be like Poland's doing, and Hungary is promoting, and well, I mean, even the guy in Brazil, whether you like him or not, at least he's pulling all social sciences out of universities. Because they are fundamentally poisoning the minds of kids. Unless you get it out of the education system, then you're just going to keep perpetrating it. And it's just going to get worse, because the people who are teaching the next generation of kids, it's like the original feminists, right? They taught the second generation of feminists, and they went more radical. And then the third wave feminism, and that's got more radical. Now, what the fuck, I don't even know what it is anymore. I don't even recognize any of it. I mean, which wave are we on?
Cabby has a point here. Stupid. Cabby does have a point here. How do you stop it?
No,
at this point, you can't. You can't stop it. The only thing you can do is be aware of it.
You gotta go. No. You gotta go to the base of it, and we all know what that. We know it's the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all that shit. We gotta go to that deep spot there, and Trump's gonna do that. Trust me. I know damn well that. That's on his plan, is to kill.
Well, I'm talking about from our level, from a societal standpoint. It's
Well,
already a part of our society. The thing you can do is you can be aware of it and not enable it to happen anymore.
See, the sad thing is, though, as much as we bitch and complain about hating or disliking or whatever the fuck you say about the left or the Democrats, what have you, we keep giving them a proverbial platform. You don't want the feminists or AOC, I can't remember her name right off the top of my head.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh God, I can't even say
The dumb
her name.
bitch.
If you, yeah, this stupid person. Anyways, you don't want them to be all over the internet. Stop talking about them.
That's true.
Tim Pool tends to say that kind of same thing.
No.
I tend to not agree because I have a rebuttal. I want them to continue to talk. I want them to...
Yeah, because they make themselves look stupid.
They will dig their own proverbial grave, and at the same time, I will challenge their ideas every step in turn.
Hold on, that's the problem right there. Ideas.
Let
At this
people,
point,
let people figure it out for themselves. You know.
Look, we keep on saying ideas. The left is no longer talking about ideas. They're already committing to their ideas. They're already implanting them. They already
it's coming down to
it
alarm
happening right now.
Sorry.
Yeah, they already have their plans into effect right now. They're not talking about it anymore because they already have it going on.
Oh, it's been going on a long time.
Yeah.
I heard something on Joe Rogan when I was driving home from work earlier, and he had a very liberal, I believe she was actually a social democrat, kind of like a Tim Pool or David Pakman type of person. And what she said is when she initially heard that story about this MAGA hat kid, when she looked at him, she saw like a face of certain folks, and she took away the mimetic of, there's always been that person that's always been a bully that threw someone in a trash can and stuff. And it did initially start to enrage her just seeing the smile. The hat definitely probably added a bunch to it because she wasn't a Trump fan.
So she got traumatized by an adult woman, got traumatized by a 16-year-old boy, and she's please. I mean, this is the trouble. Why would you give her anything like that?
No, we need to acknowledge where this is coming from, Cabbage, in order to actually fix something.
No.
Because otherwise it's going to end in even more blood. And that's something we need to avoid at all costs.
No, by giving them any credence or by giving them anything but shame, for this sort of activity, you're still going to
treat people like human beings. Because I think a lot of this is the in-kind, the talking of it. Because even if we're going on there and so a left quote unquote leftist does something stupid, all of a sudden we completely take a piss out of them. We throw a bunch of ad homs and stuff rather than doing what Doku was saying and just systematically dissecting the ideas.
I saw that old Indian and that young kid interact. I didn't see a problem at all.
No. No, it's totally media. It is. Without a doubt, mate.
They fucking blew this just fucking wide fucking stupid.
Yep.
And so you gotta look at who the bad guy is in this. Besides
the slow news day. The slow news day. Although, having said that, it doesn't matter. You get anything like this, and they will just utilize anything to do with social justice as a bludgeoner, and they think they can get away with it, and people are going to buy it.
Oh, this is kind of my point. What I was talking about initially, the people that have picked their side, they're most likely 98% of the time. I'll be generous. 98% of the time, they're not going to change their side. They're probably not going to change. They're not going to change their minds, and they sure as shit are not going to listen to you. Everybody else who hasn't picked a side, who is not adhering to the extreme tribalism, which is rampant throughout our society, those are the ones that you need to talk to. Those are the ones you need to appeal to. The extreme, those are the ones you're going to hear the most because they're the loudest. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't at least try to engage in a debate of ideas if at all possible. The problem is it's usually not possible because people adhere to this extremist ideology of tribalism.
People have tribalism?
I'm not
Come on.
side. I'm gonna call an ace and a spade a spade. I'm totally anti-free speech phobic. That's what I am. I can't tell you.
Apparently, my husband disagrees with me. Sorry. Bad ideas need to be called out and challenged. I'm just reading from the chat for a second. I say we purge the heretics from Quinn. Hammered Spud says cleanse them with fire for the Emperor. Dodge from Mad Dodge Productions says, boo, who let you people on the internet? Fuck you, Dodge.
Come join us, Dodge. Come on.
I gave him
That's
the
in the
choice.
chat right now, right?
All right.
Oh, Mad, if you're listening to this, Dodgers suck. Just admit it.
Oh, Jacob,
Mr.
you're
Turner.
gonna make him mad.
Sorry for jumping over you, but have to acknowledge the chat every once in a while.
Well, no, you're fine. There's no need to apologize, anyways. I'm an asshole too. Don't worry.
Dude, you're a
But
cunt.
no, as they
Straight up.
Okay, fine. Call me out. Yeah, I'm a cunt. I won't deny it. But yeah, no, as they say, you either die as the good guy or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And let's not fool ourselves here. Both sides of the political spectrum have done this kind of shit before. The proverbial pendulum swings. When reason goes out the window, that's when you start to run into problems. Now we're seeing the pendulum hit a fever pitch. Reason has gone out the window.
But Doku, what was the last thing that was even remotely like? I mean, we've had Antifa constantly running around all over the place, like for a long time before even the Proud Boys turned up, right? You've had one tiki torch, thing, which was a joke to begin with, completely again misrepresented. And I mean, what has there been? I don't see any mass uprising or anything like that. I see Antifa and I see all the left going fucking nuts, not the right.
Yeah.
I just had a vision here. We got a big false flag coming.
And Cabby, I can answer your question.
Real big false flag coming.
Nothing major in terms of the level of violence that you would be expecting has happened, because people generally try to avoid that. Most people, the majority of people, would try to shy away from anything that would be considered, might keep you awake at night. But have you seen tensions rising?
Antifa's been doing it. Yeah, but
that's because they're willing.
Been doing it since, the days of WTO and stuff. You remember, like, the battle in Seattle and everything. I mean, it's not like this has been a short time in developing. This has been going on for a good decade.
And that's because they're willing to do it. Most people usually aren't, which is why they try to avoid it. Most people don't like confrontation. They tend to shy away from it. But the tension has slowly been rising, and there will come a breaking point. And that's what I'm afraid of. Because when that breaking point finally does come...
Well, Doku, here's the thing.
But
maybe the breaking point is probably good, because that is currently what most of us really hoping for. Most of us are just hoping that this will go away eventually, but it's not going to go away.
Well, when talking about the MAGA kids, that's what I meant when talking. Well, that's what I meant when I was talking about the MAGA kids.
Yeah, but you see the difference. What I was saying about the right and the left, right? When you're looking at in terms of any kind of violence or any kind of activity, the organization, if you're looking at it in terms of things like the Pussy Hats, whenever you look at any of these demonstrations which are coming from the left, they're very well organized, they're very well financed, they've already got their pre-printed signs ready to go. Yep. Everything is being done. It is not coming from the right. Those sort of same things are not happening. I mean, you might be lucky if you get some misspelt piece of shit on a piece of cardboard, if you're getting, some right winger. That's about all you're going to get. Mm-hmm. So there's no real organization on the right. So it's not like okay, you say the Koch brothers and things with the Tea Party. I mean, that was a blip for a while. But there's never really been any from the right. There hasn't been. All the provocation has come from the left.
Oh, and I don't disagree. I'm just saying they're far more willing to engage in this kind of behavior as opposed to, and I won't even say all of the left or all of the right. It's just a very specific group of people that are adhere to this extremist ideologies, and you're not going to change their minds. But when I say there will come a breaking point, it will be because of something like like what just happened, where the people that necessarily aren't paying attention, it's going to be unavoidable. You won't be able to deny it. You won't be able to sit there and say, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, it will be. It'll come from entitled people telling somebody, I want your shit and I'm coming to take it and I can do it. And someone's got to actually resist them and say, no, sorry. Finally, I'm going to draw a red line.
All right, then.
And that's the thing, when it does escalate, it's going to escalate very quickly and it's not going to be pretty. But at this point, I think it's probably unavoidable. I hate to say but... Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
I think that's needed at this point. Too many people are more or less asleep. I mean, there is some serious danger about this stuff. A serious danger. We got people who are in these positions of power, from local to state, up to the federal, who are not on our side. I mean, even the police are not willing to defend people who will go out there and have simple rallies. I mean, that should say something.
Well, the police are willing to do it. Is that not serious? They're being given stand-down orders. So this is coming from the county, the county or whatever. It's coming from the state, the governor.
But still, they're still not doing their job, regardless if they want to or not. They're still not, and that has to be called out, and it has been.
Well, and also the same way, like when I was using the analogy with, do you encourage or do you even reward this kind of childish entitlement behavior? That's been done
at this point. This is not even childish.
Oh, now it's getting now it's getting dangerous. Yeah, now it's getting dangerous, and
it's been.
And that's the thing. It's not only just that. People normally would try to avoid situations that would put themselves in harm's way or an uncomfortable situation. Just several months ago, I had some woman completely neglect her kid. Her kid almost walked into a busy street crossing at my local town center because she wanted to preach to me about how I shouldn't be smoking when I'm sitting next to the frickin', the butt pole where you throw your frickin' cigarette butt. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting in the designated smoking area, and she's trying to preach to me about how smoking is bad and there's children around here and this and that. And meanwhile, her kid's about to walk in the fucking street. You get that kind of behavior, that mentality from people because it's been rewarded. They don't think. They just act based purely upon emotion. Eventually, the people that are, I smiled at her and waved, and it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, point taken, blah, blah, blah. I'm not really going to acknowledge you or engage with you. Eventually, the vast majority of normal people, they're going to have to wake up and recognize what the hell is going on, because these groups of individuals that act in this way, there's still a small majority of the population. Maybe...
Well, that depends on what you
maybe 20 out of every 100.
Well, as far as that goes, I don't see this as, per se, a small percentage. I think we might be underestimating it.
Well, and see, that's where I start getting really worried, is because things are escalating, and I don't like to see things escalate to this extent. But at this point in time, I also don't see a way to stop it.
Well,
there is going to be something that happens eventually, and I don't look forward to that event.
Well, Doku, it goes back to what was being said originally. Unless the media coverage starts to modify its behavior and starts reporting things in a rational and even manner, then it's never going to happen. Because like you said, the majority of people, they're not interested, they're not getting involved, they're not doing research. They see the clip that CNN decides to show them, which is an extremely skewed and, certainly not relevant clip within the context. And most people will just say, oh, that's what's going on, and they'll go on about the rest of their business. They're not going to spend the time to look it up on YouTube and actually check out what's been going on.
I don't disagree. I hate to agree with you, but I agree.
Why do you hate to agree with me?
See, I hate to agree with Cabby because I think he's right, and I know what the outcome of that situation might be, and I don't like it.
What is Cabby potentially correct about? Like I said in the chat, I went to do laundry.
We're talking about the the current state of society and how extremes have gotten to the point where you're not going to change people's minds, especially not the people who are willing to go out and riot in the streets and cause physical violence against individuals. And there will come a point in time where it is unavoidable. The media won't be able to hide it. They won't be able to spin it. And the people that have been keeping their mouths shut or not choosing to engage or pick a side, eventually people are going to get fed up with it.
And that's going to inflame things even more, because when those people who've been buying the bullshit from places like CNN and all these other, they realize they're being lied to, and they see the consequences on their own doorstep, there's going to be a lot of resentment out there.
And it's going to be a lot, and that's the thing. Like you were talking earlier, has there been any major event that would change the course of what's going on right now? No, there hasn't been. But the one thing I have noticed is tensions are building, and they have not stopped. And that's why things are worrisome.
Oh, damn it. We're going to have a real-life Slender Man attack.
Could be that.
But also, I'm still, even though we agree that this is escalating, I'm still more or less skeptical on people's reaction to this. Currently, I'm not seeing any sign that the majority of people will be willing to interact with this, or even go as far into going to full violence. At least when it comes to people who are more or less on the fence or on the right, I'm not seeing that. I've seen people more or less being docile.
I wouldn't say they're being docile. It's the tensions are definitely building. You can't deny that one. But it's not people. It's not people being docile necessarily. It's people with a conscience don't want to engage in violence.
But you have to remember as well, there's a lot of people who might be watching all this stuff, getting angry and not expressing themselves. A bit like before Trump, and so the pressure cooker is being added to, and it's a little bit more heat and that just gets added to it. So it's not necessarily a trigger point, but it's certainly adding to the recipe, shall we say.
Oh yeah, there was this guy small channel. I'm not really gonna call him out or dox him, but he has a very small channel. My God, if you watch him, he is just sick of it, up to the point where you can tell he's just wanting to yell about this, and he's ready to do something. And yeah, so those are the kinds of people that are more or less being brewed up, but probably not as they won't be as big as some would think that it would be.
That's because most of us keep our mouths shut.
I never would have figured memes to be the one to bring on the political bullshit and then run away.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's the thing, just to add to your point, Jason. I already feel that same kind of...
Who the hell is Jason?
Jacob.
Sorry.
Jacob.
This is how you know I'm a little riled up. As someone... I enjoy my politics. But I enjoy comic books. I'm a fucking nerd. I watch anime, all this shit. You already know this about me. I'm fucking sick and tired of people sitting there like, oh, you're a cis white male, you didn't like this, you didn't like that. Yeah, normally I'll take the time to fucking point and laugh at you and make you look like a fool. I'll challenge your ideas and this like that. Everything under the fucking bridge. I will do anything else besides try to do the kind of bullshit that Antifa does. But it is coming to a point where I'm fucking sick of it.
Mm-hmm. Like I said,
I'm a little more docile.
To defend yourself.
And that's exactly what I mean, though. There's a lot of people like you where the pressure is built up little by little. They've seen different things. Maybe they're not keeping close attention to everything, but just little by little. And it's happening throughout the countries. And it's happening everywhere. I mean, it's happening internationally. It's kind of like the Arab Spring, the sort of drip, 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 and then bang. This is what will happen.
And that's why I agree with you, Cabby. There will come a point where people are fucking fed up. They're done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna go protest. I won't even put on my Washington Capitals hat or a Nats hat or anything with the color red, to be honest, because I know some jack off somewhere is gonna fucking think, oh, this must be some evil white supremacist Trump supporters. No, motherfucker, it's a sports team. Eventually, there will come a point where somebody is going to fucking punch somebody who's wearing a sports team hat, and it's going to be someone who is just completely fed up with the bullshit, and then it's all going to fucking go downhill from there.
Yeah. No,
It's
well,
not a
that's the
matter-
thing, it'll be a pop.
It's not a matter of why, it's a matter of when.
But that's the thing that happens with pressure. You know, you keep blowing up a balloon, eventually it's going to go bang. It's not like you. It's when the energy is released that you got to really worry about. I mean, the build up, because it will come from every direction. It's not going to be contained or controlled or whatever. It's just going to be a lot of very fucked up people, not necessarily well organized, just venting steam.
Just put on a Red Sox hat and then get on Dodgers show later on and go, hey, look, it's your favorite team.
Oh, Sharada, you just had to go there, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Did you doubt her, really?
Him and his rounders.
But yeah,
I
it
don't
is.
even know if he's
The
still
state of
here.
society is rather worrisome.
Nah, not really. There's going to be a war between a bunch of people, you know it. And they're gonna fuck up the country even worse than what it already is. And then shit is either going to get worse or it's going to get better.
But Shirati, this shit's happening worldwide. That's what I mean. You've got, Trump with the wall and all
Oh
of the
no,
MAGA, right?
we have the freest country in the entirety
No.
of this
This
world.
is not about. I'm not
That's-
talking about freedom here. I'm talking about the way people are feeling at the moment. Like the
But
tensions which
yeah.
are going on around the world, and the tensions going on around the world. It's a weird consistency that's happening. You've got the wall and Trump and everything else. We've got Brexit and there's Europe and all of these things are all happening, and it's sort of at the same. It almost seems coordinated. I've got to say, it's odd that they all happen at the same time.
Yeah. The thing is, though, things are either going to get worse, which would suck because socialism is terrible, or they're going to get decent or better.
Hmm.
My
mean,
bet is it's
I just
gonna
want to
get
go back to
worse.
watching fucking anime and reading comic books again.
To the back basement.
All right, hold on. To your point right there about going back to reading comic books and all that stuff, I think that's the problem right there, Doku.
Yes,
People
infantilization of adults. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly,
people are
mate.
more or less just wanting to run away from this stuff when they shouldn't be. These
Oh, see,
need
it's
to be
not that I want to
confronted.
run away from it. That I got to
The
correct
thing
you on
is
that.
a lot of this stuff is more or less running away from reality. It is. It's escapism. You hear a lot of people complaining about more or less about real life being interjected into their favorite video games, their comics, their anime, or at least people complaining about real life not being in anime in regards to some kind of activism. They're getting upset that's happening to their favorite entertainment. And more or less, today's entertainment is just to distract people.
Oh, and see, this is why I got to correct you. It's not that I want the escapism. Those are just the things I enjoy. What I mean when I say I just want to go back to watching anime and reading comic books, I pay enough attention to politics on a daily basis. I can see the direction this is headed in, and I don't like the direction it's headed in. But I won't run away from it. It's just I know what the outcome will be, and it's not. This is why you see people like the Antifa frickin', we'll call them the brown shirts from now on, because that's ultimately what they are. They're authoritarian socialists, which, hey, you want to know who the real Nazis are? There you go. As Churchill said, the fascists of the future will call themselves anti-fascists. I see the direction shit is going in. I know what the outcome will be, and it's not something I necessarily want to engage in. I don't want to engage in it because I don't want to recognize there's a problem. I don't want to engage in it because I'm not willing to do the same kind of shit that these people are willing to do. But eventually, there will be a breaking point. And when that day comes, well, you guys had a nice run. We'll see what happens after that. You dug 6 feet. Now hand me the shovel.
Yeah, but you see, this is a weird thing that when it goes weird, it's going to get very weird because even, like, for example, the social justice people, they're tearing each other apart. You know, you got people, like feminists against, you know, you got the TERFs and you've got all of these other groups. And once power is about, you know, once the distribution of power, you know, comes about, it just gets worse and it snowballs.
Well, currently, yes, there are the differences that they are fighting each other with, but they still have the same goal in mind, all of them. Even despite their differences, they still have that same goal. They don't want the West. They hate it. At this point, they want to destroy it, and they are. And they've
Well,
been
no,
for a long time.
yeah, the radicals do, but I don't think the average person who sort of signed up to the social, you know, like the weekend social justice person who just does it for the
thing.
virtue signal.
As long as
I don't think that they are committed to it.
No. As long as there's still some amount of support for this stuff, it will be encouraged. Even if they think, yeah, this is a good idea, I might as well encourage it. They're not thinking about the negative aspects to this.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though, and that's why it's going to be a kind of a shit show, because a lot of these people who think that because people are virtue signaling and they like to pretend to be social justice, but they're not really, they're sort of, you know, fly by night. You know, when it actually does start impacting and the realization of what they associate themselves with comes to, you know, home to roost, they're going to bail pretty quickly on this so-called organization. They're going to find themselves they're going to find themselves isolated very, very quickly, because no rational person is actually, once they see what it is that they tied themselves to, if they actually, you know, when it really shows its true face, then
Alexa, lamp on.
Okay. I think they're going to find
lamp 100%.
Oh, and that's the thing. All of these, you know, all these quote unquote activists and social justice warriors and the Antifa types that show up with you know, like, I'm gonna show up to a protest with like some bike locks and some mace or some you know, some shit like that. Eventually, a group of individuals are going to show up with something that has a little bit more of a permanent effect, and you'll see real quick all of these fucking individuals start to bail.
Yep. Oh yes.
Well, I'm pretty sure that my stream is going to die here in a second, because Dodges is going to start in about
half an hour.
No, forget him. Let's keep
half
going
an
on
hour.
With this.
Nice.
Either way, we went from Grimm's fairy tales, the politically correct version, to a rather more serious conversation.
Well, that's because memes goes, I'm pissed, and then started ranting about 16-year-olds.
You don't see this a lot. I mean, I think that's a good thing.
You make it sound like a pedophile then. That wasn't fair.
That's not what I meant at all, and you know it.
Oh, God damn it, Cabby.
He is most definitely not. He's probably the sweetest person on the planet.
Oh, no,
he just can't make up his damn mind. Which is why I wanted his opinion about those damn politically correct fairy tales.
I think when anytime we start forcing our ideas or beliefs on other people, then we're crossing the line.
Hold on. The problem is right there is that no one on the quote-unquote right has even been trying to push their ideas. They've been leaving it to the side and just say, hey, as long as we're to ourselves, everything is good. But what happens?
That's not necessarily true.
Hold on.
I see it on both sides. I see it all over.
You see all over. All right, then. Who is making the majority of our teachers? Who is in our public schools and our colleges?
I would hope our teachers are in control of themselves.
No, that's the problem. We're taking too much faith, which is any person with our own kids. And who has been managing these schools? The left. They've been pushing their ideas. And for years, and they don't even need to at this point to push their ideas when it's mostly being accepted.
But Jacob, I mean,
said that makes them wrong. Anybody that
Okay,
is
yeah, but they don't care about the
their views,
morality. That's the thing. We're trying to argue morality, but they don't care.
Yeah,
They're
well,
playing at
I
a
mean,
different
what?
well,
playing
I
field.
don't
They're
think
playing
it
in
should have
something way
anything to
different.
do with morality. Your views are your views. My views are my views. I don't think
Okay,
any of us should force our views on other people.
Well,
okay, yes,
Stanley.
yes, that's you, but this is the difference. You need to stop thinking our way. We need to understand that these people, they don't care about it. They will, regardless of what we think, they will continue to get our kids. They will continue to do what they want.
Okay,
And they
Jacob.
have the power to do what they want.
Jacob,
Look,
I'll let you speak in a minute. It's my stream.
Oh no, I
Jacob.
was pretty much done right there.
No, I was talking to Cabby.
Oh, sorry.
Do you realize what you're doing right now? You are putting out an opinion for others to hear. Potentially making them think in a different light.
Yeah, but this is the point of these discussions.
Don't you think that's what teachers are doing?
yeah, but can I
Not
say
in the
something?
same way, because what we see is different. All right, it's
No,
our
Yes.
let Cabby
goals are
talk.
different.
Look, I mean, and it was said earlier on about how does this actually get reversed, and I said, obviously the news and things like that, reporting has to be reasonable, which it won't be. But until, I mean, you got the colleges; those need to be addressed in terms of trying to remove the amount of social sciences which are either taught or utilized within them. But the most fundamental one is that parents have to become parents again. They've got to stop being friends. They've got to stop being just sort of loco parentis or whatever. Like temporary things. You can't. I mean, the schools can't discipline the kids, and the parents can't discipline the kids, and then you end up with feral kids. What do you expect? This is not like it should be a surprise to anybody.
I brought this up a few times, and it starts with our parents, for one thing, lying to us as kids.
That's right. There is no Father Christmas, kids. Get over it.
Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, all these lies that our parents told us, and now where are we? Where does that leave us? Now all of a sudden, okay, well,
come on, man. No, Stoneleigh, come on. I mean, when you learn that Father Christmas isn't real, I mean, nobody's traumatized by that. It's not like everyone sits there shivering in the corner.
Well, it seems like
nobody really cares.
Look,
you kind of come about it.
Wait, hold on, Sharadi. Was there anything else you want to go more on what I was saying? Because it seems like you wanted to go more into that.
No, just what we're doing right now is shoving our opinions down other people's throats.
Well, not necessarily in the same way. Yeah, people are listening to us willingly, but the difference is that those kids, they don't have a choice in it.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there meant to be?
How many times did you fall asleep during school?
Oh, plenty.
But that's the thing.
Just what you guys were talking about.
How many times did you fall asleep during school?
Yes, and when I did,
not a lot.
Here's the difference. When I did,
You were a boring student. Oh my God!
But Shirati, the thing is, when I did, a teacher would come and smack me with a ruler, and nobody thought it was abuse. It was just sort of like discipline, It was a bit
Teacher came by and rapped on the desk because by then it wasn't allowed. We weren't allowed to do corporal punishment.
No, you get smacked on the head with a ruler when we were, or the board duster. Yeah,
well,
that's
sure,
what
I'm not.
What you guys were talking about.
Kids around like 13, maybe 10 years old. We're talking about going younger. They were teaching kids as early as, you could say, 6 about this stuff, about this beliefs of a non-binary. Everyone is just equal regardless of culture.
How old are you? 15?
What?
How old are you? 15?
I'm 20 right now, but this is more recent. It's more rapid, Sharadi. I've already seen videos of plenty of where there's drag queens dancing in front of elementary schoolers, and there you have many instances of teachers telling their kids, "Oh yeah, what you have on your birth certificate is wrong. No, you see, you can be whatever you want. You can be this pansexual, zim, zay, zer. This is what you can be." They're telling these kids that, Sharadi.
There are 2 genders and one.
Yes.
No, there's 2 genders and 1 very,
Yeah.
very big rarity where
Yes.
you are
Shredder,
born.
yes. This is all the technical stuff that you and I are aware of. But these people, they don't care for it. As far as they're concerned, it's not real to them.
Yeah, but Jacob, here again, another example is, I mean, you're 20 years old. I mean, when you were growing up, when I was growing up, we were taught to not speak until we're spoken to, you know, to respect our elders, that, you know, the old people were the wise ones, that kind of thing. Have you ever been taught any of that? I mean, how are people ever going to respect the older generation? You know,
Okay,
and what
here's
the
a good
guidance that they're
analogy.
given.
Here's a good analogy. Cabby, I think you'll like this one. What's the moral of the story when you watch the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Well, it certainly isn't that he's a paedophile.
Yeah,
although
so
maybe, I don't know.
if you have, if you invite a bunch of fucking kids into a chocolate factory, they can do whatever they want. They won the golden ticket. Yeah, so if you give your children everything you never had, but you never teach them discipline, accountability, reprimand them when they fuck up, you end up with what we have now. A bunch of fucking spoiled brats.
It's true.
Naughty little shits that need to be taught a lesson.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking entitled children.
Yeah, but actually, weirdly enough, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is a bad example because even though Charlie does violate the rules, which is that you're not meant to. They just survive breaking the rules.
Hey.
Yeah.
He came close to being millennial fucking bullshit too.
But what did Charlie do?
Stone is trying to talk.
Our parents were really falling short. I don't know if any of you noticed it, but holy fuck did they fall short. And I've actually told my parents that right to their face. You guys, what the hell were you doing?
Oh, and that's the thing, real quick, just what did Charlie do at the end of the story when it comes to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Charlie owned up to it, and he admitted that he broke the rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got rewarded.
Yes, exactly. But he still actually broke the rules. You know, he just didn't happen to end up stuffed in a tube or whatever, so he didn't have any choice. You know, he actually was the only one who got the opportunity to negotiate his out, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Nobody's perfect. But as long as you can own up to your flaws and your mistakes and not repeat them, you grow as a person. You have some accountability. That's what adults do.
Yeah,
these SJWs, these kids don't do that.
Keyword.
It's entitlement.
Hold on. A lot of these people that are social justice warriors, they're not kids. A lot of them aren't kids. They're millennials. They're in their 20s and 30s.
Exactly. This is what really annoys me is when they say, "Oh, these kids," and I'm sorry, but they're not kids. They're not kids. You're a kid at 13, 12, 13. Once you're really hitting 16, you're not a kid anymore. You're a young adult. And when you're 18, you should certainly be an adult. You know, and then this infantilization and just this way that they maintain the infantilization of young people is just astonishing. We wouldn't get away with it.
Like how I call them babies?
Well, it doesn't. Well, I mean, you can call them what you want. It's how you treat them that matters.
Oh no, I'll talk to them like they're fucking stupid if they're fucking stupid, but they're still babies.
Yeah, but how old are your kids? I mean, what? They're not in their 20s or anything, are they? Talking about how they think they should have something for nothing.
Well, that's what I've been talking about with my generation. I'm not even 30 yet, but I see people my own fucking age. Yeah, they've had their parents buy them not just cars. They'll buy them a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 car. They don't work for a damn thing. They think they're entitled to everything. Their parents want to, quote unquote, give them everything they never had. They've never had to do a piece of fucking work in their fucking life. And when somebody finally says, like, yeah, look, I don't necessarily care about your opinion. I don't care about your entitlements. I want you to do your damn job. Otherwise, you're fired. And they throw a fucking temper tantrum over it.
Yeah, you're oppressing me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, I'm sorry, this is not the way the real world works. That might be how you were raised, but it's not reality. And I'm sorry, there's not a damn thing you're going to do to change it.
But there's no one being trained. I mean, but that used to start at a young age, where, you know, kids would get jobs. You know, you'd have a paper round. You'd have, you know, some kind of, you'd have chores and things. You know, you had your own obligations within the family. You don't have that anymore.
Fuck,
You
I
know?
had more money when I was a kid than I do now.
Oz in the chat says, I have a spoiled brat and I know how to handle her. Spud replies, belt?
Switch. Can't beat the switch.
You gonna make him go pick it themselves?
Oh, yes.
Might as well. I mean, this is exactly the point I mean when I say accountability versus entitlement. My generation doesn't understand the idea of, you know, you're accountable for your own actions. You have to work hard. Everything you have in this world, you work for it. That's the way it always has been and should be.
But isn't
Hey,
it
I'm a
because
stay-at-home mom.
they've been taught their rights, but never any of their responsibilities. So they have everything skewed.
No, the thing is, they don't know any of their fucking rights. They just think they're better than everyone else.
Whose fault is it that they don't know this shit?
Oh, they know their parents can't touch them. No one can do this. Nobody can do anything to them. They are protected.
It's our fault for not fucking fixing this before it got here.
Work ethic, it doesn't start at 18 or 19 or whatever. It's meant to start at a younger age, you know. It's meant to start with the time when you can actually make your own bed and that kind of thing, you know.
And that's why the second these individuals get out into the real world after having everything handed to them, they have no idea how to handle the idea that, guess what? All your actions, everything you do, the way that the rest of society treats you, that's all a response to what you choose to do. And that concept is foreign to them, and that's why we find ourselves in the situation as a society that we do today.
There are a lot of factors to this, that's for sure.
Yeah, there is. Technology has definitely, like, I've had workers work for me. I run a body shop, and I work by myself now because there's no way I could hire one of these fucking idiots. There's no way. And then all they want to do is spend all day on their fucking phone. They're constantly looking at their goddamn phone.
I would have to
tell them to get off their goddamn phones.
I have to agree that technology has definitely made our ability when it comes to skills weaken. It definitely has.
Yeah, it stepped in the way a little bit of trades and stuff because these people are more.
Seems a little bit. Seems like it's a lie.
Hey, I'm no better. Look at me. Here I am. I'm at work. I should be fucking working, and I'm talking to you idiots.
That's because we're lovable, and you know it. I have another question. How many people from my generation? I'm 29.
Oh, so you're a millennial.
Yes, unfortunately. I wonder how many people from my generation would actually know how to start a campfire and go outside and, you know, catch a few fish so they can feed themselves.
Well, I think that's bad. I mean, you should be worried about the current generation. My generation Z, they don't know a lot. They might have some.
It depends where you go. Here in Canada, yes, the kids in Canada are actually, we bring them up that way. You know, I was out camping this summer, and we had like a 10 or 9-year-old kid chopping wood. You know. So
you guys get forever for fucking snow, and it gets down to.
Exactly, hardy people in Canada. Don't fuck with the Canadians.
Yeah, it's a little cold right now.
A little cold. How is a little as far as you go? As far as you guys.
Minus 30.
30 below.
Oh, yeah, that's a little.
40 below is a lot cold. And it goes there.
Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Well, once you get to 40, it's both.
Well, yeah, I know.
If you take a leak, it's freezing as you pee.
Well, for real now,
you snap it off. You have a
30 or is it 30 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit?
It's 30
Minus
Celsius.
30.
I'm talking Celsius. Minus 30.
So it'd be what? what is that? That's like minus 18 or 20 in Fahrenheit.
I still fucking cold.
Oh,
It
Yeah.
was.
and you certainly, and yeah, but the thing is that they've got outhouses too in certain places. I mean, look in Alaska, they still use the old honey pots. You got tough people up there in the north.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. It keeps the bugs out. You get too many
Yeah, that's
bugs.
true. Yeah.
None of them. None
You
of
get
them.
plenty of mosquitoes when summer comes.
Yeah. The sand niggers, they don't like it here too much. They don't. Too many sand
Yeah.
niggers. Only the
Michigan gets cold, but I don't think it's ever. Not since I've been alive, been into the negative 40s. But my memory's shit, so I could be wrong.
I don't mind it so bad. The worst thing for me is I work in the shop all the time, and it's dark when I come to work, and it's dark when I go home, and I don't know if you're familiar with FAD,
Yeah, seasonal adjustment. Yeah.
seasonal affective disorder, and
Yeah.
yeah, it starts. Yeah, you start to feel it about this time of year. I'm starting to feel it now. You're just dizzy and worn out.
Well, Stone, you know, there is a way of trying to get around that. I don't know if you've tried it, and I do swear by them myself, and I know other people that use them. It's a particular bulb you can get, which gives you real sunlight.
Yeah, well,
Artists use them. Yeah,
yeah,
but artists use them.
I have a grow light here in the shop. I could set that. I could turn it on. I'm going to turn it on here in the next week because I like it for. I got to polish a truck. I'm gonna polish it up so quality, like glass, and I need that light to be able to see the scratches and stuff.
Exactly.
Out, yeah.
But
And
if you get some of those and just plug them in, you get them normal sockets. I mean, they're a little bit more expensive, but they do help. They really do.
Oh, I know. We got them. Let's see, marijuana's legal here now, so everybody got them damn lights now.
Oh no, I'm not talking about grow lights. These are just like normal bayonet lights. You can put in your normal overhead lights and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I know. I looked into one last time. Because I got SAD once so bad one time, I fell down and hit my head. I just.
All right, kiddos, we're gonna have to wrap this up soon because I gotta make dinner for my kids, and they're more important than you guys are. So,
really?
Love you too, Sharati.
Well, sorry, family first, bucko.
Really? Okay. Let's see how this works then.
Yeah. Final remarks. Everybody, get your words in.
Stuck.
All right. Well, if you don't have anything to say, I'm gonna end this.
Well, I was going to say we'll see how this plays out, but it seems to be just half of the course at the moment.
I'm anti-free speech-phobic. Okay, that's where I'm coming from.
Well, good thing, because I'm all for free speech, and you can say whatever the fuck you want on my channel. If YouTube decides to shut me down, they can shut me down. I've got several channels.
Well, Matt didn't get shut down, but MC did. So
yeah. He got caught in an algorithm. We're pretty sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, all right. See you
that
guys.
has to do with Gavin McGinnis. All right, see you. Bye. Good night, everybody.